I pulled up to work one day. Now, I had been working here for like 4 years now. I spent my whole high school career working at this particular office supply store. I pulled up to work. I saw all of my buddies sitting outside on the curb. They was like, had their head slung down low. So I got out the car. I took my little sunglasses off and I was like, hey, y'all, what's going on? Why y'all looking all sad for? They was like, Tony, we all got fired. I said, what? Y'all got fired? They gonna fire you next. I said, shit, I'm Tony Reed. I'm the big man on campus. Man, they need me. So I marched on in, walked to the break room, put my little shirt on, put my lanyard around my neck. Boss man over here, he was like, hey, Tony, man, have a good shift today. At the end of my shift, boss man walked up to me and he started like caressing my shoulder. I'm looking like, hey, man, what you doing? He was like, Tony, you been a good boy. We gonna have to let you go. I started laughing. He was like, no, Tony, like, I'm serious. Like, you're fired, man. At that point, I knew he was serious. So I went from a smile to I was all puffed up. He done called security on me. Security had to come and take me out of the store and they set me outside on the sidewalk with my buddies. My buddies was like, yeah, Tony, did you get fired too? I said, yeah, man, they got me too. They was like, oh man, I thought you was Tony Reed. I thought you was the big man on campus. I thought you couldn't get fired. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Mindset Master Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Reed, and I'm also the proprietor of the podcast. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about a topic that is very important, and that's going to be how to ask your boss for a raise. If you've been at your job longer than a year or two, and you haven't either gotten a raise or either you haven't asked for a raise, this episode is going to be very helpful for you today because I'm going to show you how to leverage what you've done inside the company, basically the value that you've brought to the company. I'm going to show you how to use that value to your benefit to get you a raise. Now, if you want to learn more about this, stay tuned to the end of this episode. The reason why I know how to ask your boss for a raise, I was a subcontractor for one of the biggest food delivery services on the planet. And I'm 100% sure that you either have their app on your telephone right now, or either you've used their app on somebody else's telephone. So I know you've interacted with this particular company's app. I was hired to come in and then evaluate how they could increase customer service because they didn't give real good customer service. And I'm not talking about them or nothing like that, but I'm just stating facts. Every time the customer would call in, the person who was at the call center, it was a huge disconnect whenever like you didn't get your food or something like that. So they hired me to come in as a contractor to basically fix the organization and to make it have better customer service. This is where I'm getting this information at today to share with you on this episode. So please make sure you pay attention to what I'm saying because this can actually help you. Everything that I just got through describing to you, I actually wrote about that experience in my novel called The Art of Customer Service. Came out with that novel a few years back when I was just doing strictly customer service. But that is a really good resource if you want to actually read what to do to make your CSAT scores go up higher and how to get like better one-on-one scores and stuff like that. I'm going to also leave a link down below in the description of this episode today. Now, the very first thing to do whenever you're trying to ask your management team for a raise is going to be to know your worth. You might be thinking, Tony, what do you mean know my worth? I'm a good human being. I'm a good mother. I'm a good father. In the work world, that right there doesn't necessarily matter. When I'm talking about knowing your worth when it's time to ask for a raise, know how much value that you have brought to the particular company, not how much you and your team has brought to the company. No. Because you're trying to ask for a raise, not your team. This isn't a group committee meeting where everybody is asking for a raise. You as an individual are asking for a raise. Now, the main piece of information that I learned was going to be if you are ready to ask for a raise, 90 days before you plan to ask for a raise, start getting intel of the things that you've done. Start pulling paperwork reports. And when I mean pull paperwork reports, pull the amount of numbers that you've made the company, let's say from January, February, and March. Most people know when they're going to ask for a raise way before they even ask for a raise. You done went home and talked to your spouse, but what most people don't do before they ask for a raise, they don't have a paperwork together. They don't have all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. Most people just walk into the boss man or the boss woman's office office or the boss's office and say, hey man, look here, I've been at this company for 15 years. I only got a 2-cent raise. What you gonna do about that? As long as you are bringing value to a company, your company does not mind giving you a raise. You have to prepare before you walk into the office. That's how you finesse the management system to get them to even consider allowing you to have a raise. I'm not sure if you know or not, but before you get a raise on a company, it's a lot of chain of command that you got to go through. Like the supervisor got to sign off on you, the team trainer got to sign off, the manager got to sign off. It's like a lot of hands in that pot that got to sign off. And if you do not know your worth, when you go and talk to your manager, if you're sitting there like, I don't know how much money I made the company, but I made the company a boatload of money 2 years ago. If you are going to tell somebody that you made them a boatload of money, have a specific number that you call a boatload of money. Because just saying I made the company a boatload of money, that doesn't do anything for the management team when it's time for your raise. Tell Jimmy how much money you made the company. Hey Jimmy man, look, back in 2023, I made the company $18.6 million. Jimmy's gonna be like, oh man, Tony, you made the company $18 million? Man, I didn't even know you made the company that much money. Hey, how much of a raise do you want? At that point, that particular person who made that kind of money, that's how you can command how much you get paid. Let's just say if you made the company $10,000 that month, that's still a huge commitment from just you, that one person. I know some people who work at a job, they show up an hour late, they leave 45 minutes early, but see the management team, they would never tell you, yeah Tony, the reason you ain't got a raise after 17 years, brother, is because you not an asset to the company. You just work here. You don't produce for the company. If you're trying to ask for a raise, you have to be a producer. You just can't be sitting at your desk and at the keyboard or whatever you're doing and not making money for the company and then expect the company to increase your pay. It does not work like that. I know somebody who's been at their job for 25 years and they have not gotten a raise. The reason they hadn't gotten a raise is, for one, they've gotten complacent with working at this particular company because this is all they know. Like, as soon as they came out of high school, they got a job at this particular company. The second thing is they don't actually bring value to the company. Like they take value away from the company. Remember, somebody called a particular company, this person answers the phone and they sound like doom and gloom. They not bringing no value to the company, and they wonder why they hadn't gotten a raise after 25 years, because they're not doing what they need to do in the company. I want you to think about this. Have you ever been somewhere and you saw somebody working diligently in the company? Like you saw them like they was on time, they was at work an hour earlier, they left an hour later, they didn't take a lunch break, they didn't take a regular 15-minute break, they just was gung-ho on doing what they needed to do for the company. You ever notice that person would 9 times out of 10 get stepped over for a raise? You got a person who comes in, shows up 15 minutes late, they leave 6 minutes early, but they always on the telephone making deals and racking money in for the company. They're a big producer. No, they may not be a punctual person, but when they get to work, they gonna outperform everybody. See, that's the person who will be given that raise. And the person who comes to work every day and does what they're supposed to do, they're going to see that person who just came to the company 2 weeks ago, he already got a 17-cent raise. I've been with the company 25 years. I ain't got no raise. That's not fair. When it's time to ask for a raise, it doesn't matter if you're the new guy, the new woman, or the new person. The length of time that you've been at your job before you ask for a raise is irrelevant. The actions that you take in your day while you're at your job, that's going to deem if you need to ask for a raise. You can go in there your first week and ask for a raise if you have produced enough for the company. But you can't go in and ask for a raise if you sitting back causing the company money, you sitting back breaking stuff and you ain't, knowing how to do nothing. You ain't got a lot of comprehension on what's going on with the workings of the company. No, they ain't gonna give you no raise after your first week. No, they not. But the person who sits back and they're very competent and they sound confident in their abilities and they seem like they want to learn and they seem like they want to do what they need to do to make the company money, that person can go in there and ask for a raise, and the manager will say, hey, here you go, man. Don't say nothing to nobody. Keep it between me and you. This person who just started a month ago, they're already making $5,600 a month. When you started 25 years ago, you making $4,600 a month. That's how that comes up, because that person brought more value to the company, immediate value, than a person who's been working at the company for 20 something years and got stagnant with a position and gets, oh, I'm just at work. I'm here for these benefits. I'm just here to be here. See, that person who is in stagnation mode, they typically won't get a raise because the management team already knows that they're stagnant. So it's like, why would I give you a raise if I know you're going to be stagnant? That's going to be my very first key tip to know your worth. If you're ready to take your journey of mindset mastery to the next level and dive even deeper into mindfulness and also meditation, well, I've got a fantastic resource just for you. Inside, you're going to find step-by-step instructions, valuable insight, and also practical exercises to help you enhance your mindset and bring more positive changes to your life. This guide is the roadmap to success. To get your hands on this exclusive resource, click the link below in the description. The second point to asking your management team for a raise is to realize that the company doesn't actually need you. They don't. It's a million other people in the world who can do that same job that you can do for a cheaper price. I'm just going to be honest with you. So a lot of times employees have this certain mindset because they've been at a company for a certain length of time, or they have a certain rankage in the company that the company ain't going to do nothing to them. Never believe that you're the cock of the walk of the company, because you're not. You can be fired at any time unless you're the CEO or something like that. Everybody else below the CEO can get fired at any time, at any drop of the dime. That's the next point, is to realize that you are disposable. Once you realize that you are disposable with these organizations, that's when you should start realizing how to play the game that the organization likes to play. See, companies like to play metric games. That's the game that these big organizations and companies like to play. In order for a company normally to give you a raise, you have to meet a certain criteria of metrics every week. Your quality scorecard, your CSAT scores got to be up. All of these stipulations have to be in position before the company voluntarily gives you a raise. Have you ever went to work and your management team was like, yeah, Sally, hey, it's time for your one-on-one. You went inside the management's office, or you was on Zoom or Skype, and they was like, Sally, look, your scorecard looks bad for February and March, but April and May, it looks really good. You had a 17% CSAT customer satisfaction score for February and April. You need to kind of tighten up a little bit. So do me a favor, Sally. For the next 2 months, we're going to put you on a performance plan to try to see if we can get those metrics worked out. If you get those metrics worked out, Sally, come back in the next 6 weeks and we'll see what we can do to try to give you a raise. That's all these organizations want to do. They want to play the metrics game with you. If you do not start your own business and get your income that way, and you want to get a higher income at your job, this episode is going to be your best friend right here. And again, this information is coming from stuff I've personally seen. I know this number 2 is kind of cruel right here about knowing your worth, but that is a key factor when it is time for you to get a raise. Because if you know your worth in the company, and it's basically a number. If you work for a big company, you are a number. I hate to say that. They look at all of your metrics before they give you a raise. That's why most of the time you never hear people say, man, I got a $15 raise this season. Woo! I'm staying at this job forever. You don't hardly ever hear nothing like that. Let me share a story with you about something that happened to me when I was a young man. Back in like the late 90s, I used to work for a big time office supply store. I was the youngest kid there. I was like 14. So the management team, because I have a good personality and I know how to talk to people, they was like, Tony, man, the company can't function without you. If you was to leave, man, this company would be shut down, Tony. As a teenager, 14, 15, I'm walking around, head poked out. Once I turned 18, the particular company, they had got bought out by another company. I pulled up to work one day. Now, I had been working here for like 4 years now. I spent my whole high school career working at this particular office supply store. I pulled up to work. I saw all of my buddies sitting outside on the curb. They was like, had their head slung down low, and I didn't know what happened. I thought somebody in the management team had died. So I got out the car. I took my little sunglasses off, and I was like, hey, y'all, what's going on? Why y'all looking all sad for? They was like, Tony, we all got fired. I said, what? Y'all got fired? They gonna fire you next. I said, shit, I'm Tony Reed. I'm the big man on campus. Man, they need me. So I marched on in, walked to the break room, put my little shirt on, put my lanyard around my neck with my ID tag on it. Boss man over here, he was like, hey, Tony, man, have a good shift today. So I walked over, we high-fived. At the end of my shift, boss man walked up to me and he started like caressing my shoulder. I'm looking like, hey, man, what you doing? He was like, Tony, you've been a good boy. We gonna have to let you go. I started laughing. I was like, man, shut up, man. What you mean you gonna let me go? You play too much. He was like, no, Tony, like, I'm serious. Like, you're fired, man. I'm gonna have to let you go, man. At that point, I knew he was serious. So I went from a smile to I was all puffed up. He done called security on me. Security had to come and take me out of the store, and they set me outside on the sidewalk with my buddies. My buddies was like, yeah, Tony, did you get fired too? I said, yeah, man, they got me too. They was like, oh man, I thought you was Tony Reed. I thought you was the big man on campus. I thought you couldn't get fired. That's when I realized at a young age in life, I'm nothing in these organizations. You are easily dispensable like a cigarette butt. They will boot you out if you do not bring value to the company. I brought value to the company by me knowing how to talk to the customers, but I didn't bring value to the company as far as me going out and selling these computers that they were selling with the Windows 2000 on it, these print copy fax scan machines, because I wasn't out going door to door passing out my little business cards, because I didn't do that. They didn't see me as a valuable asset to the company. I thought they were just being mean and cruel, but it wasn't until I got employed to be a private contractor as I got older in life that I started realizing it wasn't nothing personal. It was a metrics thing. It was a numbers game. Know that you are easily dispensable, and you should always know how to play the game called metrics. If you like this episode today thus far, please press that like and subscribe button for me. We'll resume the regularly scheduled program momentarily. Now, once you're on the inside of the Mindset Mastery Academy, the first thing that you will notice is going to be the layout. On the left, this is going to be all of the things that are going to be included inside of the Mindset Mastery Academy. We have videos for a positive mindset. We have motivational quotes. We have mindset and mental health. We have affirmation cards. We have digital planners. We have blogs. We have coupons and monthly deals. And we also have ebooks and audiobooks. And then you can easily download any of these right here. We have the Success Roadmap digital planner. And this is a 170-page digital planner. You can print this out and actually do it on old school pencil and paper. And if you have any issues, you can always reach out to me and my team directly at info@TonyReedCo. And another thing that we have, monthly hot seats. Once you're inside the Mindset Mastery Academy, all of your personal problems become the group's problems. If you're going through a struggle in life, if you have a burden in life that you're going through, and you can ask any kind of questions, anything that you want to know, the group is here to help. And I just wanted to quickly talk to you about this amazing opportunity to join the Mindset Mastery Academy. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program. The next point I'm going to bring up when you're trying to ask for a raise is going to be have confidence in your voice. You've already know your worth. You've already got your paperwork, and you've already known how much money that you're bringing to the company. Now it's time to go into the office. Now you walk into the doors. You ask your manager, hey, Bobby, can I see you for a moment? Yeah, Tony. Yeah, of course. Yeah, come into my office. And then you start talking to Bobby. I've been here for about 3 years, Bobby. I think that I mean, only if you think so, Bobby, but I think I kind of deserve a raise. You see how that person right there went into the boss's office, even though he had all this stuff together. He knew his worth. He knew how much money he was bringing to the company, but he didn't have that confidence in his voice. How the employee should have came in with knowing his worth is going to look like this. Hey, Bobby, can I talk to you for a second, buddy? Oh, yeah, Tony, man, come on in. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, man. I want to talk about a raise because I've been here for 6 years, Bobby. Everything has been going good, brother, but I kind of want to discuss me getting on a higher percentage at the company. Last year, I brought in 64 new clients last year alone in the month of March. April, May, June, and July, I brought in 250 new clients at $50 a client. If you add that up right there, Bobby, that's $715,000 extra in monthly R&R residual income that that you got coming in because of the effort that I do. I really want to be the best producer of this company, Bobby. You see how much more confidence that particular employee had in his tone and his voice. He knew his worth. The first employee, he was kind of babbling. Management do not like people who babble. The management team, when it's time to ask for a raise, they want you to come in like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They want you to come in strong. They don't want nobody come in, I think I deserve. They don't like that. If they give you that higher money, that higher percentage, if they elevate your pay from A to B, they want to be sure that you're going to have that confidence in your tone. Once you know that you got your management team's attention, take that shake out your voice and put some bass in your voice. Don't be the whole time sounding shaky, because if you sounding shaky, you don't sound sure and you don't sound confident. The fourth point when it's time to ask for a raise is going to be, do not have an aggressive demeanor or an aggressive tone. When you walk into the office and you got all your paperwork together, you know your worth, you have confidence in your voice, you got all of that. The last step is going to be to have a smooth type of sound. Don't be like condescending, or don't be like, don't be real aggressive, because you will scare your management team like that. You'll scare them into not giving you a raise because you like, yeah, man, just raise, man. Nobody want to hear all that. Nobody's scared of you. I don't care how muscular or how jacked up you are. Nobody's scared of you. This called security. It's called the police. They'll get your butt out of there so quick. You better not try to act like you're gonna hurt nobody at these companies or nothing. So just because you have a aggressive tone in your voice, that doesn't mean that you're gonna buffalo your management team into giving you a raise. You can't scare nobody into giving you more money. It doesn't work like that. They will fire you if they are scared of you, because you pose a threat to the company. So my wife, she used to work for this one company, and there was this guy, he was from Philadelphia, and he had like a real assertive tone. He was a good guy, but he just talked real loud. So he went in to ask the boss man for a raise. They fired him. Well, it wasn't that he done anything wrong. When you go to work, sometimes you can't be your true self, especially if you're trying to ask for a raise. Now, I'm a big stickler for always being true to you, but you can't go to work being aggressive like you can be at home or out in the streets. You're in a professional setting that requires a professional tone. If you're trying to go out and buffalo your manager into giving you a raise, it ain't gonna work. You're gonna get fired, and then you might not get fired that day. You'll go to work the next day and they done revoke access to your key card. When you got that aggressive type of tone with these companies and stuff, they don't have time for that. So they not gonna give you no raise. If they feel that type of fear with you, please change your tone of voice at work. At work, you can't do and say what you want to do and say at work, because it's policies and procedures. And that's another thing. And let me just kind of tap on that as a kind of a segue. If you're trying to ask for a raise, always make sure to follow the policies and procedures of the company. Don't try to buck the system and think you can do what you want to do and think they're going to give you a raise. Don't ever do that. Always try to follow the company's rules. If they tell you to take a 15-minute break, take a 15-minute break. They tell you to take an hour lunch, take an hour lunch. Don't be trying to be like Johnny Cool over here, take an hour and 15-minute lunch. Make sure to please follow all policies and procedures before you even consider trying to get a raise. And that about wraps it up for today's episode. Until next time, I'll catch you later.